We are back in the building. It's been a while, man. It's been a while. Been a couple weeks or what have you. I took a week off, and my bad, guys. I'm trying to keep it going consistently, man. But things continue to happen. Life happens. But I got to get back on schedule, and I got to get it back to where we're doing this thing each and every week. As long as we have something to talk about. Of course, there'll be some hit or miss weeks here and there, but my goal is to try to keep things going during this slow period. Definitely through free agency and definitely through the draft, and then of course then we'll have more and more things to talk about. So I apologize, guys, for not being on last week, but I'm here now, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. As you can see, man, we got an interesting topic to mull over. And listen, it's funny, man, because I saw a couple of you guys already comment before the show started. One guy said, "Sim, you tripping," but see, y'all are assuming that that's my position. All right, so we'll get into it. But first and foremost, before we dive into it, man, let me say what's up to everybody, the early viewers. Let me get a little closer to the computer. Brett Fine, PDG90, Freeman Marcus, Tristan Cooper, Spacely 703, Black Hawk, King Guru Lee, more AGWS, Mark Stewart, That Boy 412, Droz Hill, Lydell Dorsey, Relfax, Robert Ellison, Raymond White, I believe you pronounce it that way. Who else? Rod. My good brother Kenyon in the building. Hello, Miss Lanisha. Lanisha is in the building. JJ Walker. And I think that's going to be it for now. Oh, I'm sorry. Y Diggy, Luke W. And we'll end it with User Stick, Ernest Grice, and Shippy Boy, or Sippy Boy 302, Darren Clark, Jason Willingham, excuse me guys, mispronouncing you guys' name, but appreciate y'all coming through nonetheless. All right, let's get into it, man. Let's talk about a couple other things before we dive directly into the Roethlisberger stuff. Definitely want to talk a little bit, man, about, supposedly we're hearing that the Steelers, will be hiring a new wide receivers coach. If you guys see me looking away from the cameras because I'm just looking and reading some of the stuff here. Supposedly, there's a report that the Steelers will hire South Carolina's Brian McClendon as the new wide receiver coach. I don't know much about him, I'm going to be honest with you. I know nothing. I know nothing about his pedigree, his, what he does. Only thing I know is that I believe they said that he's only 36 years old. I'm cool with that. Infuse some youth into the coaching staff along with the wily vets, like a Tomlin and, whoever else we consider to be vets that we like. I know we all have our opinions of Fichtner and Butler in terms of, their age and maybe the lack of them being, more, taking more risk or what have you, or evolving with the game. We could all debate that. But it's always good to see, man, younger guys come on board on the staff. So I'm cool with that. Even the running backs coach, you guys know, Eddie Faulkner, I believe his name is. He's a younger guy as well. So it's always good to infuse some youth, guys who can take a different approach. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to have a balance of that. There's nothing wrong with guys that, are older. I mean, look, again, I know it's blasphemous to say it on this channel, but I mean, Bill Belichick formula still seems to work, even though they didn't have the best season. My good brother, and I always called him good brother because I always loved Andy Reid, but the good brother Andy Reid finally got him a Super Bowl, man, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but he's an older guy, so there you have it. It doesn't always mean that you have to be younger, but y'all get the gist of what I'm saying. If they are going to hire this coach, it's good to see that he is a younger coach, and we'll see what he brings to the table. I don't know what that means for the offense. Hopefully it means good things. All right, what else did I want to talk about, man? Let me get into my my description here. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. I should have had it pulled up, right? Want to talk a little bit about Bud Dupress, and I'll get to him in a minute. But first, let's give a huge round of applause to some Hall of Famers from the Pittsburgh Steelers who actually made it in and will be getting inducted this year. That is one, Bill Cowher, and there's another, Troy Polamalu. So let's give them a quick round of applause. A big time round of applause, man, to Troy Polamalu, of course, and Bill Cowher. My, two favorites of mine, from the Steelers legacy. I don't know when some of you guys started watching football. I've learned by doing this show. A lot of you guys are much older than me and been watching it way longer than I have. And some of you guys are a lot younger. Some of you guys come through with the younger era. Some of you guys are 20 years old, 19, 18 even, 22. A little younger than I am, so your generation is a little different. But I got to say, in my generation of watching the Steelers and being a Steelers fan, definitely Bill Cowher, you got to put him up there as one of the greats, even though we've only had like literally 3 coaches in the last 50-something years. But, Bill Cowher was a great coach, man. Yes, he had losing seasons. I've talked about that here, and I know the comparisons is always there against Tomlin. But I liked Bill Cowher. I liked his demeanor. I liked how he coached. The same way I am a fan of Mike Tomlin. I don't agree with everything Mike Tomlin does. I didn't agree with everything Bill Cowher did. But I like these guys, right? So it's great to see Bill Cowher get into the Hall of Fame. It was interesting seeing him get in as early as he did. We talked about this on one of the earlier shows. But again, if you're seeing what Bill Cowher did, for you guys that hate Mike Tomlin, it almost looks like he's probably on his way into getting into the Hall of Fame as well. If you just compare the resumes and if you just look at the fact that Bill Cowher got in, you would have to say Mike Tomlin will probably get in as well. Mike Tomlin is still coaching, okay? And whether he's going to be with the Steelers or not in 5 years from now, I would assume he'll still be coaching somewhere unless he decides not to on his own. So resume alone, I think he'll get in there. Obviously, you think Andy Reid is probably going to get in there now. He needed that win. And, we'll talk a little bit about Andy Reid real quick, and then I'll go back to Troy Polamalu. I've always been an Andy Reid fan. Being a Steelers fan, of course, the Steelers is my only team. I don't believe in the 2-team stuff. People always approaching me with that, I like these guys and these guys. No. There's only one team, bro. Now, you can have, you could be a fan of a player or you can be a fan of a coach. You can even root for another team in certain situations, but you cannot have 2 teams. That's blasphemous. But I say all that to say this, because the Philadelphia Eagles are also in Pennsylvania. Whenever the Steelers are not involved, I root for them in the NFC, meaning I'd rather see them win than somebody else, just because it's a semi-local team to me. So I've always followed Andy Reid. Always always liked what he brought to the table. Just seems to be a great coach. You don't really find anybody having anything negative to say about him in terms of his, his players. That says a lot. Has had a great record, and the only thing that was keeping him from being recognized as one of the greats is he didn't have a chip. And it's amazing to see what he did in Philly. Time is up in Philly, goes to Kansas City, and he makes Kansas City a team that almost like our Steelers of those years, a team that seems to always get to the playoffs, finally created and drafted this super team on offense. And there you go. The offensive wizard finally gets him one, so I was happy for him. Great stuff there, Now let's get back to Troy Polamalu. Man, listen, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. You guys should understand how I feel. By far, one of my favorite Steelers of all time. By far, one of the greatest Steelers of all time. And it's not even far-fetched for some people to say he is the greatest Steeler. Some people would say that. Okay, now I know that's probably going to light something on fire here in the chat section. I'm just saying, guys, some people would say that. What an amazing player. I had the opportunity to see every moment of Troy Polamalu. And some of the things that this dude used to do on a consistent basis was just unmatched. He's done everything. He's come up big in the big game. He's come up big in the game that didn't mean much. He's done it all from every spectrum. He's done it. Won championships. Put up stats. Got interceptions. Made big plays. Was the ultimate playmaker. Was the ultimate improviser. Right? He did it all. And again, Troy Polamalu is probably one of the reasons why us as Steelers fans are very spoiled when we rank our safeties, right? Let's be fair. This is the reason why guys like Sean Davis and guys like Terrell Edmonds, most of us Steelers fans, we can't acknowledge the fact that these guys may not be that great. They're decent players. With us, it's usually when we're talking about safeties, they're either great or they're bust. Because you had the great Troy Polamalu that's clouded your vision. You understand what I'm saying? He is the reason for that. We are, like they say, you are accustomed to seeing greatness at that position. But think about who played with Troy Polamalu. Ryan Clark. And I like Ryan Clark, personally. I like him as a person. I like, even when he does his analysis, I think he's fair. But he wasn't the greatest safety. Okay? Let's just be real. I used to love Ryan Clark because he would knock your head off, and then somewhat smaller guy, but he would lay the wood. And that's why I became a fan of his, because he had put his nose in there and bang. But in terms of coverage and all that, not so much. Great run supporter, cover man, not so much. Right? So I'm just saying all that just to say, and I know I'm rambling, but Troy Polamalu, come on, was one of the greatest. And again, it's the same thing I think we all are going through right now with the receiver position. We got spoiled when we had Antonio Brown doing what he did. So now we're looking at every receiver that the Steelers brings on the staff to be that. And I just don't think it's fair. Sometimes you get clouded, guys, when you're used to greatness. But anyway, round of applause to them. We've already given them the round of applause, but we'll just say it, just as a figure of speech. Round of applause to Bill Cowher, Troy Polamalu. And yes, I'm going to be biased here. I do think Alan Faneca got snubbed. Okay, nothing against Hutchinson. He was a great guy as well. He played on that line for a very long time, particularly in Seattle. But, man, come on, Alan Faneca has gotten snubbed, man, year after year. And I honestly think, and I don't know for sure, but being that there's a committee, I honestly think, man, somewhere some of those guys were saying we can't put all these Steelers into the Hall of Fame at one time in one ceremony. I don't know. I could just be saying that. But come on, man. An argument could definitely be made based on the amount of years. Alan Faneca should have probably gone in this year as well if you're going to put in another offensive lineman. Just my 2 cents. But anyway, happy for those guys, man. And also, we can't forget Donnie Shell. Thank God for the centennial year, allowing a few extra guys to get up in there. What an amazing safety he was. And again, I'm not of age to where I was able to watch Donnie Shell. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a nut when it comes to Steelers. So I've watched old film and studied these guys' statistics and all of that to try to figure out how good some of these guys actually were. So yeah, Donnie Shell was a problem even after, the mighty Steel Curtain teams had dismantled. So there you have it. All right, next, let's talk about Bud Dupress, man, and then we'll get into a little bit of Ben Roethlisberger. I'll take a few calls, and then we'll get out of here. Listen, man, we continue to say it, and I guess we could keep saying it, man, until the time comes. This is going to be a very, 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 very interesting offseason. The fact of the matter is, man, whether you like, hate, or love Bud Dupress, the Steelers are going to do whatever they can do to keep him, particularly because of who's behind him. Those are just the facts. There's nobody behind Bud Dupress that you can count on. Even if you want to pull Tuzar Skipper out of your hat, okay, he's not proven. Even if you want to pull Ola, which, a lot of us like Ola, a lot of us like Skipper, kind of the similarities, right? How we fell in love with Ola and his potential. We did the same thing with Tuzar, right? And then when he got cut, the Giants got him, a lot of us were heartbroken and such, and boom, next thing you know, he circles back, right? But let's be honest. You can't go into the season like that. Because Anthony Chickillo is probably going to get cut. That's number one. Number two, what I just said before I said number one. Look at the lineup. We really don't have outstanding depth at outside linebacker. Think about it. We went into this past season a little iffy when we all were saying, wow, man, all we got is TJ, and we hope Bud ends up being stud or at least playing on Bud level and not number 48 level. That's all we were hoping for, right? And behind those two guys, we already was like, look, man, Chickillo is just a guy. A jag, as they call it. And then behind those guys, it was Ola. And then Tuzar circled back. But you see what I'm saying? At one moment, it was Jerron Ellis, I think his name is. So because of that, I think Bud Dupree will either get tagged. Well, let's just face it. He's probably going to get tagged. You know, the more and more I listen to other people's opinions, you know, as far as like, you know, other people that, you know, around the Steelers. And, you know, of course, you guys know I'm a faithful listener of, you know, those guys at the Terrible Podcast, the Steelers Depot guys, Alex. Shout outs to Alex because, again, like I said, I know Alex checks me out from time to time. We talk on Twitter. So shout outs to you, Alex, if you see this, as well as Dave Bryan. It just makes all the sense in the world, man, that a deal is probably not going to get done before the tag deadline. You know, it's not going to be done. Well, I won't say that, but it definitely won't get done before free agency. You know what I mean? Bud Dupree is probably going to try to test free agency. So before that happens, they're probably going to have to slap the tag on him because you don't expect that a deal would get done. You know, let's be honest. I know people always want to say, what about the hometown discounting? What about the fact that you haven't been the greatest player for all of these, you know, years, but now all of a sudden you have all of that can go out of the window. That's fan talk. That ain't business talk. You know, the way business works, if you're Bud Dupree, you did what you were supposed to in your final season for whatever the case may be. Some people think it was contract year. Some people say it's because he had been injured, and we all know he has had injuries the last few years. But regardless of what the reason is, you had an amazing season. You had your best season and one of the best pass rushers in the NFL in 2019. So what happens when you come to the table? Even if it ain't you, your agent is going to say, let's look around and compare stats. Okay? What did this guy do in 2019? Oh, look what he's making. Bam. That's where we start to negotiate. What they also do is the agent is going to look at what would the tag cost be. Bam. That's going to be our starting point. You see what I'm saying? So as much as people want to say, well, he should just take less, listen, that ain't the business, man. We got to always remember that it's a business. Like I said, I am a hardcore, stone cold, you know, cold-blooded Steeler fan to the end. But as I've, you know, gotten mature over the years, I've grown, you know, I'm older now. I'm not the 16-year-old kid anymore. And now I'm looking at this thing from somewhat of a journalistic standpoint with doing this podcast, but also being a fan. I got to look at the realistic situations. That ain't that's not good business if people are going to think that Bud Dupree is just going to take less, or, oh, he's going to say, oh, since I wasn't my greatest the first 5 years, I'm going to give them a discount. It don't work like that. I'm going to try to go get paid while I can get paid, because realistically, the shelf life, you know, his life out there on the field is not that long. You got to get it while you can get it. But that's just my 2 cents, man. He's probably going to get tagged. I think the Steelers don't have any thought right now to not sign Bud Dupree because of the depth, especially with not having a first-round draft pick, which, again, for you guys who, you know, are under a rock, I'm not mad at that. We got our safety, one that we desperately needed, and I am not mad at that. That kid is going to be on our team for 3 more years, so we essentially got our first-round pick last year. But because we had to give up the number 1, the top pass rushers are not going to be there. And again, you guys know how I feel. The draft, you know, the draft position doesn't always matter to me. I mean, there's a plethora of players on both sides of the ball that you can look at and say, wow, who would have thought they would have become that type of player? I mean, look, just on our own team. Okay, we all know the situation with Antonio Brown, what he turned out to be after being drafted so late in the draft. A guy like James Harrison after being undrafted. See what I'm saying? Excuse me. So it doesn't always mean that, but of course, like every other, you know, football person or aficionado, whatever you want to call them, we all have to look at this thing based on projections. None of us can just say, that guy's going to be a 7th round pick and he's going to be amazing. No, none of us do that. We have to play the projections game until we see what players become. So based off of projections, the top-notch pass rushers will probably not be there at number 49, which is our first pick. So this is all the reasons why you think they're going to keep Bud Dupree, however they can do it. Now, let's get into Ben Roethlisberger. So I'm sure you guys, and hello, I'm going to speak to Debbie before we continue. We already spoke to one lady of the chat and Lanisha, and now we got to give our same respect to Debbie. So everybody say a hello to Debbie and Lanisha. You got to respect the ladies, guys. So make sure you guys do that. So let's get into the Ben Roethlisberger stuff, man. Some of you guys saw the title and y'all went crazy. Y'all thought Sim was tripping. You know, and what if I wasn't? What if I really meant that? But at the end of the day, why y'all jump to conclusions, man? Come on, y'all know we got to play this clickbait game. It's YouTube. You know, I gotta put out something interesting to make you guys want to hear it, right? I'm not talking about you loyal guys. I mean, come on, man. It's all about the views. Even though I don't do clickbait, I never do that. You guys know my history on YouTube. I'm just not that type of guy. If I'm gonna put something in a title, you best believe I'm going to talk about that. I'm never just gonna put something out just to get views. Same reason why, and you know, I hate to talk about the dead. God rest the dead. God bless his soul and his daughter. But this is the reason why you didn't see me do a reaction video about Kobe Bryant. And I'm not doing that. I think that was tacky by some people. And I'm not talking about just all the media outlets. I'm just talking about regular people that are just YouTubers. That's just my opinion. It's tacky. I'm not doing that to try to make a buck. No. It ain't always about that. It's about your integrity, man, and what your heart is, you know, the purity of your heart. So, there you go. Now, I know I went on a little tirade right there, but all right, let's get back to it. So, Ben Roethlisberger. My first question to the people would be, why y'all so quick to just say, let's get rid of Ben Roethlisberger? I don't understand that. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that a lot of people are missing. Because I've seen some of the articles and the guy on Barstool and all of that. First of all, everyone is forgetting one main component here. If you cut Ben Roethlisberger, what we don't know, which I don't know personally, maybe some of you guys follow this a little more than I do. What is the cap penalty to cut him? What's the dead money going to be to cut him? I'm pretty sure that the dead money, the cap hit, is probably the equivalent of what he's making in these next coming years. It's very close, I'm pretty sure. Because remember, Ben has had restructures. So the problem with that is if you cut him, the dead money is still there. And it ain't like you can run out and sign one of these veterans. All of the people that everybody is talking about, these guys are quarterbacks in the NFL. What did I just tell you guys about 5 minutes ago? And not you guys, but, you know, I'm just, you know, figure of speech. But what did I tell you guys a few minutes ago about the business? Look at Dak Prescott. Look what he just turned down reportedly. It's the business. If you are an NFL quarterback, you're not signing for less than a certain amount because they know their value now. Or they know the inflated value of quarterbacks, which is the reason why you had guys, and I can't remember the exact number now, but remember that deal that, what's my guy, the Missouri kid, man, that played with Macklin, Jeremy Macklin, Chase Daniel. Y'all remember that deal he got a couple years ago as a backup? It's the market, right? So there's no other quarterback. Maybe you get a deal, right? Maybe you get less than what you're paying Ben, but not when there's dead money involved, people. Come on. We got to use the business mind instead of the fan mind. So that alone is a no. That ain't happening. Alone. The only way that something like this happens is if Ben decides to retire, and I'm sure there's some type of recourse to get some money back, this and that, whatever was guaranteed is guaranteed. But thinking that the Steelers should cut him just off of monetary reasons makes no sense because we can't sign nobody else where we're going to be in favorable cap space. So we don't really save much. Like I said, Ben's amount is probably more than You could probably get one of these guys for less than that, but you're not going to save that much in the quarterback market. Number 2, let's say we cut him and we're not sure which veteran that we want to go get because we really can't do it anyway without the money. Do y'all know who's on the roster? Who's on the roster? Oh, yeah. Those 2 guys that most of you fans don't like. One being Mason Rudolph, the reason why I put him in the thumbnail. The other being Duck Hodges. Whoa. Yeah, let's go ahead and cut Ben Roethlisberger. And let's roll the ball out there with Mason Rudolph. Wait a minute. But Sim, you're not remembering. What about the draft? Okay. We don't have a first-round pick. Who are we going to move up to get? What would it cost to move up into the first round and get one of the top-notch quarterbacks? Let's just think about that for a minute. So then I know everybody's going to say, what about Jalen Hurts? He'll probably be there. Listen, I'm cool with that. But, again, based on projections, are we going to sit here and say that we think that he's going to be the man coming out of college and just plug him right in and now all of a sudden the Steelers? Come on, man. It don't make sense. You have to plan these things out. Now, I do think the Steelers definitely need to start really looking. They need to be really looking at veterans right now, as well as the upcoming drafts, because, yeah, it's time. Okay? But let me tell you something. They haven't given up on Mason Rudolph yet, but you need to have another plan in place. So over these next 2 years, if Ben Roethlisberger is healthy and he's able to play, yes, during that time, we need to be evaluating right now what's going to be the move in 2 years. We drafting, right? Or we going to sign a veteran? But thinking that it's going to happen this year, no way. No way, Jose. Nor do I think it should. Give me the replacement plan. Not the one that you want. The one that makes sense monetarily, that we are capable of doing, that you think is going to give us a better chance than Ben Roethlisberger. If Ben is healthy. If Ben is not the same Ben, it's a different story. But all of this is just assuming. We're just assuming. I think it's crazy. Especially coming off of the season that last time we saw Ben Roethlisberger, he's setting records. I'm just saying, man. Y'all are crazy. And I've seen more of it happen, right? When now all of a sudden, you know, the news comes out, you know, over the last couple of weeks, Eli retires, right? And now just recently, a couple of days ago, now the Chargers are saying, you know, them and Phillip Rivers are going to part ways. So then this is when most of the Roethlisberger talk comes up because, oh, they're in the same draft class. Oh, it's time to get rid of him too. Yes, is it time to start anew? Absolutely. But am I ready to throw him in the trash now without letting him finish out these 2 years? No, I'm not. Again, before I go to the cause, monetarily, it can't happen. I don't see a way that it happens where we get saved a lot of money and we don't still feel the hit of the dead money if we cut Ben and able to acquire one of the veteran guys that we think can help us. You know, I'm hearing names like Cam Newton. Y'all think Cam Newton going to sign for $10 million a year? Y'all think Cam Newton is going to sign for that much less than with Roethlisberger? Come on, man. Come on, man. And shout outs to RK, man, who just subscribed. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining the home team. We happy to have you. But yeah, come on, man. You guys, come on. We got to think a little better than that. But anyway, man, let's get to the cause, guys. Y'all know the routine. If you guys are new, y'all know the routine. Short and sweet. Short and sweet. Don't make me cut you off. In and out. Just abide by that and everything's lovely. Now, y'all know Blog Talk Radio sometimes acts crazy. So if you are in the queue right now, let's say this now. If you are in the queue, you can hear me in the phone queue. If you are also watching via chat, please let me know that you can hear me. Otherwise, if you're only listening on the phone, you might just hear it say unmuted. You may not be able to hear me. So just start talking as soon as it says unmuted. We'll be able to hear you regardless. But it's just sometimes Blog Talk Radio is crazy with the you hearing me and me hearing you through the queue. All right. So let's go ahead and grab the first call. Let's see. It is area code 803. Give me a second. About to bring you in. 803, you are live. What you got for us tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. I don't want to be beat on the Roethlisberger thing because, I'm just hoping that the rehabilitation time, they both are honest and progressive on his rehabilitation. I don't want to sit there and take too long. Not many of everybody remember 1983 when Bradshaw was trying to come back for that 14th year, and it was just a wasted year because he set up most of the year. He did get us to the playoffs, but it was just a wasted year. So I'm gonna get off of that. Now I do have to congratulate guys who made the Hall of Fame, especially for Donnie Shell. Went to my hometown school of South Carolina State. That's already an NFL factory. But for those guys who come to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, it's got to be a daunting task to sit there and look at the list of names of the safeties, the linebackers, and the defensive line. And you were talking about guys who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm hoping at some point that Bill Nunn, the guy who basically recruited from out of the black colleges that brought the, bringing the guys to the Pittsburgh Steelers from the small black schools or the small colleges and universities. That guy deserves some recognition.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it for the evening. I appreciate that.
No problem, man. We appreciate you as well as always. And if I'm not mistaken, guys, y'all say it in the chat if I'm wrong. But I believe, didn't Hargrave come from South Carolina State as well? I think he did. So, yeah, South Carolina State has put some guys in the league, man. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Jay Wobble came from there as well. But absolutely, 803, I agree with all of that. And, yes, you got to commend those guys. Next up, area code 334. 334, you are live. What you got for us?
What's up, brother? How you been doing? It's been a long time.
Good, man.
But I know I was sitting back and I was listening to your commentary, and you got a good point. I know I don't like it. I don't care much about it. Just I like my rookie. I'm not going to throw them on the bus. Just have to go with them. And I'm glad they brought in offensive coordinators to work with these guys. I didn't know Speakman was working both sides. And I explained why these quarterbacks played such a bad job when it came to coordination. So learning how to step forward and throw the ball. But as far as we get rid of being just stuff with them. And I hate that. And I want to say, hey, AD, you can come on back there. You apologize. You got open arms. At least I think some of you got open. But I got open arms for that brother. That brother apologized. Y'all need to stop riding on him about how he was acting back then. Some of us got to grow up and leave it like that. And that's all I got to say.
334, we appreciate it, man. We had a little rough time hearing you a little bit, man. I think it sounded like you might be driving. So, I understand how that is. But just letting you know that it was rough to hear you. It sounded like the wind was in the phone, maybe through the window, or maybe, air conditioned heat, whatever part of the locale you are. But yeah, I can kind of hear you. And I'll comment on what you said, the last part of that. And you guys had told me that it was low. My bad, man. I always forget. And just to give y'all a quick story, man. When I do my show on Thursday, my co-host there, Smitty, his mic is loud, so I always have to turn my desktop down, and I forget to turn it back up when we do this show. So that's why you guys may not have been able to hear 803 as clear as well. So my bad on that. But let's talk about the AB thing really quick. I'm always one for giving guys second chances and, redemption. Redemption is always great. I'm all open to that, right? It's just, I'm going to say it like this without being too harsh. I think something is really wrong with AB. Like, for real. Like, you know, mentally. You know, I know that's the hot topic right now, but it's the truth. There may be some mental health going on with AB. You know, whether it's emotionally or whatever, I don't know. So to me, man, and would I accept him back with some help, some real help, professional help, not just off of a I'm sorry, because let's come on, let's not just be Steelers fans. Antonio Brown has done a couple things while he was with us, and it was sorry about that, I apologize, and then he acts a fool again. And let's be honest, his things have been worse each time after the apology. So I kind of feel like as far as just accepting his apology, that may have run its course. You know, but I am a fair person, you know, just in life in general. Everybody deserves a second chance. I don't like to throw people in the trash either. That's just not my character. You know, with just how I came up, and, you know, some people I've been around in my lifetime, they've stumbled and failed 100 times, and finally they got themselves together. You know, even people I know personally, I don't throw them in the trash. I might not rock with them every day, but I still can't give up on them, you know, until the final end. So to kind of translate that to AB, from a moral standpoint, listen, you know, he may have fell down 100 times. He might be able to get up the last time and everything is fine. But because of his history, it's going to be tough without some real help. Like, again, I think that guy needs some real help. And I'm not, you know, not being funny or anything like that. So this light is a little bright. Why y'all ain't telling me I'm looking like Casper the Ghost in the video, man? Y'all supposed to look out for me. All right, man. So looks like we do have one more call. So let me get a little closer to the computer here, man. I don't know why I'm sitting so far back. Let's go ahead and grab this next call and keep it short for me, man. The first two guys did a good job with that. You know, try to keep your comments to about a minute or so. Area code 786. What you got for us tonight?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm a huge fan of the show, and I agree with a lot of things that you said. We're not going to cut Ben and get someone like Cam Newton or anything, but if Ben was a goal or not a goal for next season, I say we do something small like trade mid picks to get someone like Josh Rosen, given the great offensive line that the Steelers have, and see him develop behind Ben if he's a go next season. And one quick thing, I am from Miami, and I remember you were so nice when it came out to the hurricane and giving your well wishes, and I want to say that we avoided it, and we appreciate the well wishes that you provided. So, huge fan. I'll hang up and listen.
Oh man, I appreciate the call, and yeah, man, I just try to be a good person, man. That's how I was brought up, you know. So I'm always gonna try to do the right thing, and I'm generally just a sincere person and well to get along with type of guy. So absolutely, man, I'm always gonna give what I can, whether it's verbally, respect, if it's monetarily. That's just me, personality wise, in a nutshell. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you being a fan. Thank you for that. It's always interesting when people say they're a fan, because, you know, I'm so relaxed. Like, I don't even consider you guys fans. That's why I like to call, you know, my fan base, so to speak, you know, the home team, you know, because I feel like we're family. I'm just a talking head. I'm just a regular guy. But, you know, so instead of me calling you guys subs or fans, I say that's my family right there. You know, this is the home team. But, you know, let's address what you said about Rosen. That's an interesting one. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I can't say, and I know the chat section is probably having fun with it. Yeah, I already see somebody saying no, not Rosen. But let me say this. I'm not really gonna say whether I'm for or against Rosen, but I will say this: if Ben Roethlisberger is not right, remember a couple shows ago that was the topic. What do we do? Like, seriously. You know, we could be in a situation where we trading for a Josh Rosen. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that far-fetched, guys. If if Ben Roethlisberger is not right, come to find out that elbow just ain't right. He's not the same no more. That's a tough one. I think anything is on the table. Trading for one of the younger guys like that. You know, maybe Josh Rosen would be one of the guys that you could probably get rid of because, you know, he has been traded before. So, you know, maybe him being trade bait is not, you know, not too far-fetched. But I'm just saying, and I'm not giving an endorsement to Josh Rosen, you know, and my man here said that he thinks that would be a good trade. I'll be honest in saying I haven't seen enough of Josh Rosen, personally. I didn't get a real chance to see him his first year. Didn't get a real chance to see him last year as far as, you know, analyzing his game. So I can't make a determination on him. But he's young. You know, and is he better than Mason Rudolph? So my man is just saying, guys, if Roethlisberger is not right, that's all he's saying. He's not saying, you know, this is going to happen. He's just assuming Roethlisberger is not the guy anymore. What do the Steelers do? And I respect that opinion there. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the chat section, man. We'll spend a few minutes here, and then we'll get up out of here. Let's go ahead and start with Nathaniel Hall. Steelers in the same position as Chargers last year. Y'all better learn. But Big Ben got the team hostage from moving on, drafting young QBs. I don't like the Steelers' chances next year. Okay. You know what? You make a good point in saying that Ben is kind of holding the team at hostage, not only with draft, but I said this to Tony, and I told Tony I would say this next time we did a show. That cap, man. You know, I think I saw a stat the other day that Ben is one of two quarterbacks with the highest cap hit. You know, you got $100 million quarterback on your team. And to be fair and be honest, until Ben Roethlisberger is off the team, we're not really going to see leaps and big-time changes offensively in terms of money and acquiring people and drafting, et cetera, because that money, that cap space, Ben takes a huge part of that. And other teams, you know, not all teams have to deal with that or not dealing with it currently because they don't have that big payday quarterback yet. But some of these other teams are going to see that, you know. Kansas City going to be in that boat pretty soon here because that boy Mahomes, yeah, still hurts my heart, man. And Kenya knows it. And if Tony is in here, he knows it. Hurts my heart, man, because y'all have heard me say this before. I so wanted Patrick Mahomes because remember, again, projections. He was projected to be a third rounder possibly. So I was thinking, okay, the Steelers brought him in for a pre-draft visit. They also brought in Josh Dobbs, a couple other quarterbacks, so it was clear they were going quarterback that year. I went and scouted Patrick Mahomes for myself and was like, yo, this kid's arm talent is outstanding. Jumped off of the tape for me. I was like, wow. Apparently Andy Reid saw the same thing, and y'all know the story. He drafted him super early, and look what just happened. MVP of the league. MVP of the Super Bowl in the second year. But yeah, man. Just my quick 2 cents. Let's see here. Kenyon says Josh Rosen, excuse me, I called the man Roden. Josh Rosen would not fit in Pittsburgh, people. I saw Rosen live in high school and at UCLA, and he doesn't love football. You know what? You know what's funny? I want to say Kenya told me this before about him not loving football. Am I right, Kenya? I think you definitely said that before, that draft year when those guys came in. I recall those words. I'm almost certain you said that to me before. Darren Dalton says, I wish Big Ben would take a pay cut like Brady did to help the cap space. That would definitely keep Bud around, etc. You know what, Darren? I think that ship has sailed with him being in his last 2 years. I agree with you though, you know, but listen, I'm gonna be honest, I can't blame the players. I always give a nod and a tip of the hat, you know, to those players like Brady that's willing to take less money. But again, it's a business. So for as much as I respect those guys that do it, I can't not respect the guys that don't take a pay cut. It's a business. It's a business, you know, and I can't expect them to do what I want them to do just because I'm a fan. Oh, they should think about the team. I get it, but it's a business. So I'm kind of even keel when it comes to that. Let's see who else we got. Droz Hill says, Sim, draft 2021. Who would you take? Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Jamie Newman, or Felipe Franks? I like the Franks kid, but not saying I like him better than some of these dudes. It's just he's somebody that you don't always hear everyone talk about. Franks is nice. And he says they are projected to be the top quarterbacks in college. I'm going to be honest with you right now. There's more football for them to play, but right now it would be a toss-up for me between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Justin Fields, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just my opinion. He got that it factor. He got it, bro. It's, you know what I'm saying? And some of you guys know what I'm saying. You can just see it. He got it. To me, it's the same thing I felt about Mahomes. And I'm talking early Mahomes. It was like, yo, he got something. That Justin Fields gives me that same feeling. Just watching him play. Some of the plays he make. The boy is nice, man, and he can run. You know, he's mobile enough, right, to create that threat. So is Trevor Lawrence. Don't get me wrong. Trevor Lawrence is nice too now. You know, and I know some people are going to try to rag on him and say he didn't have as good of a season this past year as he did his first year. Fair. But he's nice. And I just think those two guys are probably my guys right now. You know, I do like Franks too, but I'm just thinking if I had to take it today. We're not talking 2021. Anything can happen this next upcoming season. But if I had to take one of those guys today, I think those would be my top guys. And it'll be tough. It'll be tough, man. I would probably have to get some, you know, one of you, 2 or 3 of you guys would probably have to be in the war room with me, you know, Kenyon and a few more of you guys out here to say, okay, who we going to take, Fields or Lawrence? I couldn't just outright make the decision. I lean more towards Fields only because of what he can do. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence is that guy, man. Like Kenyon just said, and you know that's a running joke with me, Kenyon, and Tony. You know, we call people Lotto Stud. Lawrence is a bad boy, so I might have to go Lawrence. See, like I said, I can't call it right now. I can't call which one I would take right now. Sometimes I say Lawrence, other times I say Fields. I don't know. I don't know, man. But yeah, Kenyon would be able to persuade me, you know, and say, nah, bruh, we got to go Lawrence on this one. Mr. Ab says, we all need to remember that if bringing in a QB, regardless of experience, they would be learning a new system. Facts. Just because they are a known QB doesn't equal instant success. And he said, Rudolph Duck have the edge. Hey, man, I'm going to give you a round of applause for that comment there. What he said right there is what I like to call big facts. Those are the facts. Look, man, Ryan Tannehill, again, mostly Derrick Henry later in the season, but Ryan Tannehill was able to go into Tennessee and do just enough. You know, and I know most of us don't really want to give him the credit, but Mariota couldn't do that. You see what I'm saying? Ryan Tannehill did just enough in that system, made just enough throws in that playoff run, and even though he was turning around and handing the ball off to that beast in the backfield, still he was able to outplay Mariota. So sometimes it's a different environment, and some guys get it, some guys don't. But my man is right. Another quarterback might come into our system and it won't work. Who knows? Who knows? Let's see what else y'all got, man. What else y'all got? We do got JT Barrett. Y'all are right. Wouldn't it be interesting, man? And I think I want to say Leonard, and shout out to my father-in-law, Leonard. I want to say Leonard said this to me. Wouldn't it be crazy, man, if he just hasn't gotten enough opportunity? Because I think he was with the Saints, right? What if he mess around and go in camp and go crazy? You know, he's an athletic quarterback as well. Wouldn't that be something? Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not riding this whole Lamar Jackson wave, meaning that now I want a mobile quarterback. No. I would just like to have a guy that was as mobile as, say, a Josh Dobbs. And you guys will understand what I'm saying here in just a moment. Think about the games when Josh Dobbs was able to move the chains with his legs. He wasn't a runner, but he had the ability to escape and get out of the pocket. That's all I'm looking for in our next quarterback, right? Because let's remember, who used to do that for us when he was younger? Y'all remember? Big Ben Roethlisberger. Y'all remember it was a time when Roethlisberger would take off. He won't never the fastest guy, but because of his pocket presence, he would avoid, and then he'd get out. So Roethlisberger has always been a quote-unquote mobile quarterback, even when it's just his, him playing Ben ball. That's what I'm saying. But I want somebody with a little more than just Ben ball, like Ben magic, Ben being Ben. I want a guy that can see it and go. We saw Duck do it a couple times this year. And it's because, guys, that's where the game is going in terms of how defense is being played and things like that. And the pass rushes are just getting faster. You're going to need a guy that can at least step up and get out, pick up a quick 6-7 yards. If they're in man coverage, he might be able to scramble for the first, like Mahomes does. Mahomes is not a running quarterback. He's a pass-first quarterback, but he can do just enough. So I'm more of a Mahomes type versus just a Lamar Jackson type, even though Lamar Jackson is so exciting to watch. But, I don't want to get too far away from a guy that can traditionally stand in there and gun it. And that's why you might have to give Trevor Lawrence the nod, because he is all of that. He can move. He's big. Pause. Got to pause that statement. He's a big guy, right? And he can pass that thing. So Trevor Lawrence is probably more of the, like Kenyon said, the lotto stud out of the bunch. But anyway, man, let's read a few more comments, man, and then we'll get up out of here. Jason Willingham says, Matt Canada as a quarterback's coach will make the difference. He may be the Terrell Austin of the offense this year. You have a great point. Might be. And that's what I'm saying. And that's who I forgot. So I appreciate you, Jason, for reminding me of that. That's another relatively younger guy that you bring in on the staff. And see, now you're infusing some youth in there, So I like to see that. So you never know how this offense, could turn around a little bit, with having, Fiedner now having candidate that, has pedigree in terms of play calling and things like that. And have, if they do hire this guy from South Carolina, there you go. As the wide receiver coach, could definitely start pulling some more things out the hat. The only thing we still need to watch out for, though, is Ben Roethlisberger is still going to run the show. Can't get past that. Big Ben is still going to run the show. So we might not be able to really see a rebirth, if you will, on offense until Roethlisberger is gone, because obviously you're not going to make with so many changes when he's your quarterback. That's just, we just got to face those facts. Captain Spartan says, Sim, do you talk about the hiring of the... Yeah, it's funny. I just said that. Yeah, I talked about that earlier in the show. I didn't see it officially on the Steelers site yet, but, those are the reports, so I assume it's happening. But we talked a little bit about it, Captain Spartan. What I basically said is I don't know much about him, and for you guys that want to know his name is Brian McClendon. He's a wide receiver. I believe he was a wide receiver coach from South Carolina, or he might have been doing play calling duty. I'm not 100% sure, but he's worked with a couple guys, obviously most recently Deebo Samuel. He's had some talent at, there. So we shall see. We shall see. And the reports are that the Steelers will be hiring him as a new wide receiver coach, 36 years of age. Great to see that. Infusing some youth. Let's see. Jared Fry says Pittsburgh needs to draft depth this year and worry about the future next year. No way we can move up without losing everything and no money to make the free agent signings. You know what? You have a great point there. You have a great point there. This might be the draft, like me and Kenyon has said, and Tony, when we do our group chat. This is the draft for sure that the Steelers are going to go best available, I think, in the second round. When you don't have that first rounder, it's not as much, need-based. You kind of go best available, and then from there, like you said, let's work on depth. Let's work on depth after that. I'm cool with that. We definitely need a tight end. We might need a running back. We got a couple younger guys, behind Connor that I think we still could give a shot. I still want to see a little more Karif White. We might have to do that. Definitely tight end. We might have to go offensive lineman. Might have to go D tackle. Okay, and we still need another safety. Okay, a rotating piece. So we definitely need to work on that depth in this particular draft. Bo Chosen says he's hearing Jericho Cotchery. Yeah, I think Jericho Cotchery, if I'm not mistaken, had an interview as well. So I think they've interviewed both candidates. And, it hasn't been finalized to my knowledge. So if any of you guys can say that it has, please let me know. But I did see that Jericho Cotchery also was a guy that may have interviewed. You guys know he played with the Steelers for a little stint, played with the Jets, et cetera, et cetera. So most of you guys will remember Cotchery, big type possession type receiver. We'll see. We'll see, what he could be as a coach if he's to get hired. We'll take about 2 more chats, guys. Looking at my timer here. How long we got? We got 1 minute and 50 seconds, so let me hurry up. Railfax says, how do you feel about Winston and Mariota, Sim? 2 young guns. Again, I personally think we don't address quarterback at all and stick with Mason behind Ben and going forward, but this is a fun discussion as y'all hear Blog Talk about to cut us off. Honestly, I think it's just gonna cost too much. And I'll leave it at that. There's no need for me even to go into those guys and speculate because I just think it's gonna cost too much. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I feel about that. Yeah. I think it's gonna cost too much. So because of that little fact, I don't see it happening. Don't see it happening, but, as backups, cool, but, I don't know if I trust Mariota or Jameis Winston to lead the way, based how they've been playing here of late. But, anything's possible. One more. Let me get one that I haven't read. Robert Ellison says, how about sending the 2nd round pick to the Giants for Evan Ingram? Nah. I think if you're going to do it, try to draft a guy. There's going to be tight ends I think you can get and take a chance on in the 2nd, perhaps even the 3rd. I don't think all of those guys that we identified will be gone by then. The Hopkins of the world, the Bryson Hopkins, the Pinkneys of the world, Randy Moss's son. I can't remember his first name now, but y'all know the Moss kid from LSU. I think there's gonna be tight ends there. I think if you're not 100% sure anyway, you just go ahead and you draft it. Ingram has talent, but is he a guy you give a 2nd round pick for? And I know it's fair. Some people will say, well, he hasn't had the best quarterbacks throwing him the ball. Daniel Jones comes in later, but nah, I'm not spending that. Thaddeus, there you go, Thaddeus Moss. I'm not spending the 2nd round on him. All right, but that's gonna do it, man. We'll go ahead and get out of here, man. Good participation tonight, man. It's good to see that you guys stick around, even though when I miss a week, I'm gonna try to keep this as regular as possible. Kenyon and Tony, if you're listening, definitely we're going to try to get some more steel tables going. It's now time to start getting into film. Y'all know the combine is coming, and that's usually when I like to do my thing, man. I look at what these guys are doing in the combine, whether they did good or bad, and then I go back and look at their film and see if the combine, especially if they're good numbers, if I see that on film, and if they're bad numbers, I look to see if they actually outperform what they performed in the combine. So we're getting close to that. So we'll definitely do some steel table discussions, man, where we'll identify some guys in some positions and, just throw them out there. I'll be honest, I don't do the scouting thing enough to be able to say, this is where we're going in the second, third, fourth, sixth. Nah, I'm usually good with identifying like the first rounder. You know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily that guy, but I'm willing, to try to learn a little more about that. Like we always tell everybody, Kenyon is really good with evaluating talent, so he's definitely that for us here, at Terrible Towel. So that's it. All right, I hope everybody has a great night. Before you go, make sure you do this. 3 things. Thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell button. That's all I need you to do. Like, subscribe, and cut on your notifications. Also, if you guys would like to donate, you can do so right here in the chat, which obviously we're at the end of the chat, so you don't have much time to do it here. But if you prefer to do it elsewhere, PayPal or Cash App, I have that information in the description. And let me thank those of you who've actually donated over the last 2 weeks. You know who you are. I'm not going to say names here. I did get your email. I'm going to try to find a better way to communicate back to you guys when you do that. But thank you. I greatly appreciate you guys sending your Cash Apps and your PayPals. Much appreciated. And there you have it. But outside of that, guys, I shall return next week. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope you guys are not as miserable as I am without football. But hey, we got the XFL. It was quite entertaining. But I think it's going to die. Just being honest. We all said that about the AAF, and then all of a sudden the numbers start going down. But we'll see. We'll see. And I'll spend a couple seconds here and talk about that really quick. It's nothing more than a D-League. It's all ex-NFL players, many of ones that we all know, even the kickers. I knew a lot of guys off these teams just watching. It's not going to overtake the NFL. I know some people are thinking it's not. Come on, man. It's not. These are guys that are unable to maintain NFL status. But it was entertaining. I felt better about those games than I did the AAF games after the first week. So we'll see how that goes. So at least we do have a little football to watch. But outside of that, you guys be safe. God bless. If you have a significant other, I hope you guys have a happy Valentine and, do something special for him or her. And, don't have to do nothing crazy, man. My wife and I, we don't get into the whole craziness of Valentine's. We're just spending time and dinner or what have you. Just be kind to each other on that day and appreciate the love. And there you have it. But all right, man. Catch you guys next week. Be safe. God bless. Good night. And thank you for tuning in to Terrible Towel Tuesday. Peace.